Hello, this is a fairly basic introduction to the quadratic formula. I'm just going to keep this to very simple questions. Before we start, you need your calculator, and what I'd like you to be able to do is to put something like this into your calculator and make sure you can get the answer -1. You can try it with me if you like. I'm going to do it on my calculator off to the side here. So I can see there's a fraction. I'm going to press my fraction key. I'm starting off with a -3, so I need to press this negative sign here, -3 plus, I need a square root, the square root button is here, plus the square root. Now it's possible that I'll need a double bracket here, so I'm going to have an open bracket, another open bracket, and -3 close bracket. I need to square that. Take away 4 times 1 times 2, close bracket. So I might put that in the question there. Could do the same down here. And then I'm going to put that all over use the down button on the calculator pad, open bracket, 2 times 1, close bracket, and I'm going to press equals, and there's my answer, -1. So make sure you can do that calculation. The next thing I'd like you to be able to do is the following calculation on your calculator, this one here, and make sure that this time you get the answer -2. Now you'll notice this looks very similar to the last one. The only difference is that this one has a plus here and this one has a minus. Let's also do this one together. So I'm going to clear my calculator. I'm going to start with a fraction. I'm going to start with -3, take away this time square root of 2 open brackets, -3, close bracket, squared, take away 4 times 1 times 2, close bracket, go down to the bottom of the fraction or the denominator, open bracket, 2 times 1, close bracket, press enter, and I get the answer, -2. You're going to need to be able to do those calculations for these questions. All right, so I'm going to close my calculator now, and I'm going to just look at my OneNote page. I hope that's what I'm going to do. Yes. All right, so we've done that on our calculator. Now don't get confused by the next bit. It will all make sense in a minute. But in your book, I'm going to get you to write this in a minute, and it says the quadratic formula says that if we've got something that looks like this, and we want to find the value of x, x is equal to -b plus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2 times a, or -b minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Now this is going to look very confusing, but can I just remind you that in our last video when we were using the null factor law, we saw this idea of x being either one number or another number, and we're doing a very similar thing here. You don't need to remember the quadratic formula, you just need to know how to use it. We will write it onto the test for you, or you will be given it in some form. Just to let you know, in case you see it written elsewhere in a textbook or something or online, sometimes people don't write it out as being one thing or the other. They write it like this, -b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So instead of writing it out twice, once with the plus and once with the minus, they make use of this little symbol. Okay, that's the confusing part. Let's use the quadratic formula and hopefully it will become clear. So here's our first question. It's in the form of something x squared plus something x plus 2 equals 0, so we can use the quadratic formula. And you will be told in the question, use the quadratic formula. Now, Our a value is going to be whatever in front of the x squared. Now we know that there's really a 1 there, so a is equal to 1. B is going to be whatever in front of the x term, but make sure you capture whether it's a positive or negative number. So in this case, B is equal to 3. C is going to be the number by itself, and again, make sure you capture whether it's a positive or a negative. And for all of our examples that we're about to do, everything's positive, so you don't need to worry too much about capturing positive and negative numbers for these 5 questions. Now we want to put these values of a, b and c into our formula. So our quadratic formula says that x is equal to minus b plus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a, or minus b minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So let's substitute. Whenever I see an A, I'm going to put the number 1. Whenever I see B, I'm going to put the number 3. And whenever I see C, I'm going to put the number 2. So let's start with this first value here. Minus B is going to be minus 3 plus the square root of 3 squared minus 4 times by A, which is 1, times by C, which is 2, all over 2 times 1. Now I'm going to put that in brackets each time, so I don't make any silly mistakes on my calculator. Or, this is the other thing I have to do, negative 3 minus the square root of 3 squared minus 4 times 1 times 2, all over, I'm going to put it in brackets 2 times 1. Now, we've just done a calculation very, very similar to that, and in fact the answers are going to be the same. This will be minus 1 or minus 2. So we've just solved that quadratic equation. So it's called an equation because it's got an equal sign in. Now you're going to try these quadratic equations. So for each one, you're going to write down the value of A, the value of B, the value of C, and you're going to substitute them into the quadratic formula. So your working out will look exactly like what we've got over here. You'll show the equation, the values of A, B and C, and the substitution into the quadratic formula. So each of these questions, you'll start by writing the equation, the value of A, the value of B, the value of C, and then you'll go on to these steps over here. The value of A, the value of B, the value of C, and so on. Please stop the video here and try these 5 questions. Talk to the teacher if you're having problems. The solutions will be at the bottom of the page. If you would like more, when you finish that, let me just take you through one extension question. We're going to start in the same way. We're going to look at our values of A and B and C. This time we have A equals 1 because it's like having a 1 in front of the x squared. B this time is equal to negative 6. So we've got to be careful. We've got a negative 6 here. And C is equal to 8. So we know that our quadratic formula says that x is equal to minus b plus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a, or x is equal to minus b minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. When we substitute, so wherever I see an a, I'm going to put 1. Wherever I see a B, I'm going to put minus 6. And wherever I see a C, I'm going to put 8. So let's do that together. Now, this looks a bit weird. I've got minus negative 6 plus the square root. I'm going to put that negative 6 into brackets. Minus 4 times 1 times 8. Now, our calculators are a bit picky. So this is where we can put that extra lot of brackets in. Over 2 times a. And we're going 2 times 1. We're going to put that bracket in there as well. Or we're going to have minus 6 again. Take away the square root. That's meant to be a square root sign. Of minus 6 squared minus 4 times 1 times 8 all over 2 times 1. Now before you go putting this into your calculator, let me clear something up. When we've got two negatives next to each other, that actually turns into a plus. Same thing here, plus. So what we're really putting into our calculators is going to be 6, just 6 plus the square root. Minus 6 squared minus 4 times 1 times 8 all over 2 times 1, and similarly just 6 minus the square root minus 6 squared minus 4 times 1 times 8 over 2 times 1. And if you like, you can try question 6, 7 and 8. If you're looking for even harder examples of the quadratic equation, please ask Miss Goff or just Google it. Good luck.